For centuries past, humanity used to believe that nobody could fly in the skies like birds, but today, millions of people are not only flying in planes around the world, some have even walked on the moon. Others are living in space, and still others are preparing to live on other planets in the future. In his dynamic book titled What Cannot Be Done Can Be Done, Dr. Andy Audu has been proving to the church world that dead people can be raised from the dead and greater miracles can happen today, according to Jesus' command in John 14:12. You too can be inspired to do the humanly impossible as you read What Cannot Be Done Can Be Done. To buy your copy, visit mymiracletv.org or call right now to 1-229-638-1065.
For over 30 years in nearly 40 nations around the world, God has been using Dr. Andy Audu mightily, according to John 14:12, to raise many physically dead and dying people, heal the sick, operate many special miracles, as well as winning many sinners to Christ. As the author of the internationally best-selling series known as Raising the Dead, Dr. Audu has been honorably received by many world leaders. Now, ladies and gentlemen, log on to raisingthedead.org for additional details, because Dr. Audu is coming to your area for a great meeting, and you need to be there.
So when we arrived, I arrived before my team. They were preparing, coming from all different counties. So I arrived here, and not far away from the new annex or the new branch of our ministry there, I saw the road barricaded. Alapa Street, in the city of Figueroa, barricaded. And I said, what happened there? Then I saw a sign. They said death within the family. And they blocked, and they put the vehicles in the middle of the road. You can't move forward, you can't move backward, no even place to make a U-turn. So I came out of my vehicle lovingly, and I headed towards that family. And a lot of you could see the kind of vehicle that would transport the dead and the family, and I went towards them. And the first one I met, he was the preacher, the pastor that they invited to come and sort of give the word of consolation, as they call it. And I said, so I introduced myself to him. I said, I'm a man of God from Africa, but I saw the sign over there. What has really happened? He said, somebody has died. And I said, yeah, and I would like to help. He said, how are you going to help? I said, I will pray that God will raise the dead. Wow, that man was taken backwards. He was shocked. He said, no, I don't control the situation. I was just invited here. Can you talk to somebody over there? So he directed me. I went to the next person. The more I was talking to that person about God using me to raise the dead, the more shocked they were. This one who said, that's not my responsibility. They sent me to another one. And they were guiding the family into the vehicle because they were heading towards the funeral, the cemetery. And the more I was talking to them, the more, they were looking at me as though I came from another planet. And this is a church gathering right there. Where is God? Where is Jesus? The family was devastated. They were sad because they've lost their loved one. And they called a preacher to come there and talk about God and prayer, and nothing happens. So now God sent somebody, a strange person to them. The fact that they didn't know me, that doesn't mean that I am like, every preacher out there. I have got some resume. In my resume, I have some experience. I can back it up. I could speak with confidence. When people are hurting, what they need at that moment is God's intervention, not religious intervention. So they keep on brushing me aside, pushing me to this one. Nobody wants to take responsibility to help me, to allow me to help them out. And finally, they drove up. And I stood up there, I was looking at it. I was offering all of them free of charge. Not even asking them thousands of dollars like the funeral homes are doing, or hundreds of thousands like the hospitals are doing over the medical bills and treatments. All of that I was doing out of love, devotion to God, and to wipe away the tears of sorrow from that grieving and family. Unbelief shut them up. They took off, went to the cemetery anyway. I said, that's good for them. And less than 1 hour after that, as we were setting up our equipment, about to preach outside, a gentleman was passing by, and that man was tormented by devils. His name is Larry. He was walking on the street, wobbling and shaking himself. I mean, you could see he was agitated. His head was wobbling. And initially, I thought maybe the man was drunk, or did he have drug problem, or what? I mean, he was going crazy, uncontrollably walking on the street. And he stopped by our neighbor in front of our building. And the neighbor knew him, so they greeted themselves. And he was going again. He was wobbling, and you could see as though he was going to collapse on the street. And so my people were looking at this, and I headed towards him and said, "Sir, stop." He stopped. And I said, "What's wrong?" He told me in 2003 he had a motorcycle accident, and he hit his head. And since that time, he lost his equilibrium, completely lost his mind. And he said the nervous system in him was totally dysfunctional, and his body couldn't control him from his head down to his neck and his body. And you will see him, talking like this as though he was drunk or drugged, and a heavy drug. I said, "Would you come over the other side here? I will help you out." He said, "Yes." He didn't resist me. You see, he would have told me, "Look, excuse me, I'm a religious man, I'm a church." And he goes to church in the city of Israel. Going to church with this kind of attitude, behavior, demons tormenting the man. They attack his neurological system, destabilize the man completely. Hospitals can't solve the problem since 2003. All the way to 2014, yesterday, February the 8th. I thank God that He gave me a chance. You see, you don't write people off simply because you don't know them. When I go towards any situation, sometimes people look at me from the crown of my head down to my feet. Some of them judge me because of the color of my skin. Some judge me because of my accent. Some judge me how do I dress, what kind of car I drive, and all of these things. Excuse me, it will make you miss the blessings of God. The whole world, and particularly the nation of Israel, was looking for a flamboyant Messiah. Somebody coming on glorious, chariots, and like King David or King Solomon and the kings and all of that. But Jesus came through the back door. He kept on telling them, "My Father who sent me, my Father who sent me." They say, "Who is your father?" "Joseph is your father. You're a bastard," and all of that. If you're a king, then why don't you have armies? Why don't you have, a throne? Why don't you have a palace? Why don't you have a big bank account? Jesus, if you claim you're the Messiah, you're the king, and all of that, why do you look so ordinary? You see, the blessings of God come in disguise. Many of us are looking for fanciful things. And God is using somebody right now. I look down to earth. I'm a very simple person, but full of so much of power. If you are not discerning your spirit, you miss the blessings. That family that lost their loved ones, they brushed me aside. Even though I was offering to help them out, God would have raised that dead person up if they had given me a chance. But simply because they call another preacher who came and messed it up, that doesn't mean that everybody does mess it up.